Jessica and Jason and that relationship really confuses me, because a couple months back, when all this stuff was going on, Jessica did reach out to me to give me some insight on the situation. And this is what I mean when I say what she says doesn't add up with her actions, because she literally told me that when she kicked Mindy out of the home, she kicked Jason out as well, because they were both using. Now, you guys take that with a grain of salt, because I don't know what's real anymore. Seeing that he's back and all of this stuff, and he's back in the home, it makes me question if that was legitimate, number one, or if she was just saying that to make it sound better. Because my criticism in my first video on this matter was that I didn't think it was fair or right that she kicked Mindy out and exposed Mindy publicly for all of this stuff, yet what, Jason just gets a pass when Jason was the provider and Jason was the one bringing this? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So when Jessica reached out and told me that, well, you know, that makes sense. Jason was at fault too. He should have been kicked out. If he was going to kick Mindy out, you should have kicked him out. Now I don't know, because I've heard other people say this as well, that Jessica will reach out, especially if a video gets traction. And that video did. I'm not saying it got hundreds of thousands of views, but it did get traction. It did get attention. And I have heard other people say that Jessica is one of those that will come into your DMs and try to talk to you and, like, I guess, kind of do damage control. I have nothing bad to say about our conversation. She was very nice, very respectful, very kind. She did some information that she didn't share publicly. And I'm not going to go into detail about all of that. But that one specific part, and now seeing that Jason's back, she's doing these interviews, he's in the home with her quite often, it don't make sense to me. I know there is way more to the story than what is publicly put out. I know a lot of bits and pieces have been put out publicly, text messages, a lot of private personal stuff, but I just had to mention that because she told me that. And now seeing a couple months later, they're back together, and it's like that never happened. And Jessica never spoke on it. That's the thing. She brought all this information to the public and then just shut it down and went silent. She had told me that she was doing an interview with Jason, doing an interview with Reece, doing an interview with them so that they could tell their side of the story. I don't agree with the things that Reece was showcased doing on her channel, but I also think that there's two sides to every story, and I think it's really sad. It was devastating that one of the weakest moments in his life, where he wasn't in his right state of mind, she put that out there to the public and deemed him a monster, you know, made him look like a monster. I'm not taking away from what she's been through. I'm just saying I don't agree with that. If she has the right to say all these things publicly, then Mindy, Reece, even Jason, all these people that are involved that did not give her approval to go and speak about these things, they have the right as well. And I think it speaks measures that happened. And then when she's telling me, like, yeah, oh no, he is going to get to tell his side of the story, you know, all of these things, it never happened. The content never got uploaded. I'm sure more things happened behind the scenes that we aren't aware of, and that's okay. If she's choosing now to be private about these things, that's okay. But of course, as supporters and other people from the community, people who have followed her, whether, you know, no matter the situation, people are going to be concerned when the only behavior you are showing, you're not answering anyone's questions, you're not being honest about what's going on, but then you do things like post this interview with Jason. That wasn't a good look.
It was a very weird video to listen to. He was slurring his words. He couldn't stop moving his hands. He was not making sense of some of the things that he was saying. His jaw was moving very erratically and strange.
I'm like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. But they did, because it's all in there. So I want to start with...
Start with jailhouse lawyers. The guy that says the feds is better than the state, he's a fucking liar. Don't listen to him. Punch him right in the mouth when he tells you that shit.
Yeah, it's horrible. So you're from Chicago. How in the hell did you even end up in Arkansas?
I went to prison for stealing a Mustang GT Cobra off dealership lot. Somebody set it up right, went up my tow truck, grabbed that thing and drove out of there. Well, there was stickers all over the windows. And some good Samaritan dickhead at the muffler shop across the street called the cops. So when I pull out of there in an old raggedy ass tow truck that had a light bar, a hook and book, which is mean you can pack up and just steal it. With this $90,000 car in the back of it. This is 2003. The cop's like, nah, this ain't right.
I'm not here to speculate if he was under the influence of some sort of upper. Again, I see the mannerisms there. If you compare it to other interviews, there was definitely something going on. My issue here is the fact that when Jessica decided to speak out or take the video down, and her explanation behind why she was taking the video down, I think she thought it made her look better to say what she said about him being manic and everything. But in my opinion, that's worse. It's a worse look on her. The fact that you knew he was in a manic state and decided, oh, well, now would be a good time to sit down and do an interview. How is that better? If someone's not in the right state of mind, no matter whether they're under the influence, they're manic, whatever the situation, they're in a fragile state. And it is so hypocritical because she sat there and went on and on and on in her body broker video about people who do that and how horrible it is and all this stuff, profit over people, when that is how that comes off. And that is the truth. It comes off as if that YouTube video, that interview with Jason, the people's going to eat it up, right? That was more important than what Jason was going through in that moment, whether he was under the influence or not and was just manic. Either way, it's not cool. Most importantly here, big if, but if he was under the influence, I don't know what could have been going through her head. I don't know. Like, I go back and forth on if it was intentional to keep people talking, because her views have been low since all of this drama has came out. You can go look for yourself. Again, do your own research. Her views have been low. They went from 100, 80K, 100K, some videos 200K to she's lucky if she gets 30K. And no shade, we all have bad weeks, bad months on YouTube. YouTube is very up and down sometimes, but I do think it is tied to all of this drama. I've seen the people giving her constructive criticism in the comments, her own supporters, hundreds of people telling her as a supporter how they felt about all of this stuff. And Jessica did not acknowledge very little of it. Like, that's the thing. She made the choice to bring all this to the public and then decided when it got hot, right? It got too hot. Nope, I don't want to do this anymore. And again, that's her prerogative. She's allowed to do that. But then when you put out something like this, of course, people are going to be concerned, especially those who have been following the situation, those who have watched all of this unfold. And her explanations, y'all, are just, they're horrible.
So I took down today's video because a lot of you guys were saying that the audio is messed up, it's all over the place, and he seems high. I took it down for a lot of reasons, and I get why a lot of people think that. He has tics, especially after what has happened to him recently, and he was also manic. But I took the video down because, one, I don't want you guys to be triggered by his mannerisms and how he was in that video. I also don't want him to go to the video and be like, I mean, come on, everyone thinks I'm getting high, I might as well go get high. Because when 200, 300 people are telling you that you're doing something that you're not doing, you're like, fuck it, I might as well go do it, right? I don't want that to happen. But it's my fault. I have full creative control, and I thought that I could take an almost 3-hour video and chop it into 46 minutes. I couldn't because it was all over the place. So it's my fault, not his. I don't need to get help because he looked high. I'm okay. And I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. So I've been sitting here thinking about a lot of different things. I read a couple of y'all's DMs, and I love you so much. And I just wanted to say what's on my heart right now, and that is, it is so hard to be a human, right? Then have mental health issues and also be an addict. And one of the hardest things coming out of addiction is that you are constantly reminded of how you hurt your family. And we did that work. But to constantly be reminded of who you used to be when you're trying to be someone new, you're trying to change your whole life, you're trying to save your life, right? When someone's constantly telling you that you're high when you're not, it's just not good for you. I didn't say what I said in the last one because I'm like, oh, he's going to go relapse because of this. No, I just know how it felt when my dad asked me where I was going, when I would be back, and who would be there, and I was 32 years old. So I'm like, I did that. But it's hard to be treated like you used to be when you're trying to be someone new, right?
When the Jason video happened, I seen that people were doing their little clips and doing their little stuff. I was going to leave it be. I seen the contradiction there. I seen how her saying, oh, he's manic. I had my thoughts, of course, but I had no plans on speaking on it. And then she did that body broker video right after. And I'm sorry, but in my personal opinion, y'all, that was complete deflection, because she got so much shit for that Jason video, and so many people were pointing stuff out to her that she needed to deflect onto someone else. And unfortunately, Nicole was just the one who got it. You know what I mean? Does things in a way where she comes off as if she is educating people and she is doing all these things for the greater good, and she wants to help people and make people aware and all this stuff that she says that she's doing. I used to believe that, but in the last couple of months, y'all, I don't know. She is just, maybe it's just the wool's been took off my eyes and I see things differently. I don't know what the situation is. It's just so bizarre to me that she gets away with doing these kinds of things. Nicole loses her channel. She came onto my channel. We did the little interview. Reddit was going crazy about body brokers, calling her a body broker. Nicole talked about that in the interview that she done with me, which I will link that, you guys. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good video with Nicole sticking up for herself. Because I agree, taking advantage of people in a sensitive state or in a fragile state, whether it's addiction, recovery, disability, it doesn't matter the situation, it is wrong. But unfortunately, in this world, it happens so often. Doesn't make it okay, but it does. It happens so often. So as someone who supports Nicole, when all of this was being said, I asked the questions. I wanted to know. And Nicole was completely transparent, which is more than what I can say for some people. For Jessica to come onto her platform and discuss that and talk about that and do this personal attack, dig, whatever you want to call it, towards Nicole, when she herself, y'all, when she herself does that, it makes no sense. And she knew people were going to call her out for it, but it's different. It's different. You see the deflection? No. What I do isn't as bad. What she does, it's what these people do. There's parts of it I agree with, but the thing is, y'all have to go watch the full thing if you haven't. It is in my description. I made sure to put that one in the description. The thing is about it is she went to the extreme. I'm someone who has been in recovery for 8 years, right at 8 years. I was in MAT for quite some time, several years within my recovery. I know how the system works. I was also on Medicaid. So I know a little bit about insurance when it comes to state paid insurance, things of that nature. I also know that if you don't have insurance, she was talking about how you have to pay all this money, how the insurance companies have to pay up to, I think she said $72,000 for treatment and $10,000 per P test. Y'all, she used the most extreme numbers, maybe in like a celebrity rehab or something like that. Maybe, I don't know where she got these numbers from. I'm sure she did her education, but that is not the case across the board. That is not the case across the board. My husband was in a facility where they worked with him and he didn't pay a dime for years because he didn't have insurance. And if she's going to talk about these things, she needs to talk about it all. That was the thing that frustrated me too, is she says that she wanted to point out all these different examples, right? All these different examples of body brokering so that for her audience to make us aware. That way we knew and we seen all these examples, when in fact, if you listen to her word salad and her talking in circles, she only used one example. One example, and that just coincidentally happened to be Nicole's old YouTube channel. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence, you guys. And even if that is a coincidence, what frustrates me about the whole situation too is she's trying to make this like it's solely about recovery and MAT when it's not. That's an issue in healthcare as a whole. If anyone out there has a disability or a chronic illness that has to go to a doctor all the time, you know they're all a gimmick. They're everything. You go to Walmart nowadays just to go buy your groceries. It's profit over people. That's the world. It's the government we live in. You know, so it's not just recovery treatment, it's everything. And if you're going to talk about these issues, why focus on that one thing? Why? I'm sure these numbers, all this stuff, I'm sure she got it from somewhere, but there are so many other situations across the board where you can get help, whether you got insurance or not, and you're not going to have to pay an arm and a leg. You know, there's just so many different resources, different things that she did not discuss, and it's frustrating because it felt like this fake outrage thing she was doing to try to get everybody hyped up and angry at Nicole. You put that into perspective on who Nicole is to Jessica. Nicole is friends with Mindy. Nicole has openly spoke out about all of this drama. She personally speaks to Mindy. She has personally spoke to Reece, all of these people. So I feel in my heart as an outsider looking into the situation that Jessica sees Nicole as a threat in some way. I don't know why, you know, I don't know why. Maybe because of this persona, her mask is slipping. Again, you guys, we can only guess, right? Because we can only go based off of what Jessica says. And when it doesn't add up, something ain't right. Something, she's not being honest or truthful about a lot of things. And that's the issue. If she's not lying, she's definitely not being honest. And that's the issue. You want to talk about all these things. You want to be transparent. You're in a community where honesty and transparency and all of these things are so important. All of the communities she's a part of. And she has literally built her brand and her everything off of that, off of honesty and integrity and all these things. So her actions as of late are just wild. It's wild. I understand. I couldn't imagine the damage control, all the things that she feels like she has to do. She's just grasping, I guess. I don't know, but it's not a good look. I promise you, your supporters, majority of your supporters, and even those who don't support you right now in what you're doing, if you would just be honest and just lay it out there, people would have so much more respect for you than what you're doing right now. And that's the truth. I firmly believe that. I know I would. I know I would fully respect her. I don't expect no one to be perfect. Jessica, nobody. But what she is doing, y'all, what she is doing, it's not okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that job and getting a paycheck for it. We all have bills to pay, right? However, I do think there is something wrong with body brokering even being a thing. I don't think it's ethical. I don't think that it's right. And I think it's just feeding into the system that puts profits above people. I'm going to be honest. When I was in the depths of my addiction, I thought that the only way out was to unalive myself. And if someone came to me and they were like, Jess, I can help you get insurance right now. I can help you get into treatment. If someone said that to me, I wouldn't have given two shits if they were getting a paycheck off of that and they were getting kickbacks for me. I wouldn't have cared. It wouldn't have even crossed my mind. They could have told me that and I still would have been like, okay, make your money, but please help me. And that's the problem. To go to treatment, it should not cost $300,000 for 90 days. None of this should be this expensive. There is no reason in the world why you should ever give your insurance information or your identity to a person that you saw online.
She's not wrong here. I agree with everything she's saying. But again, the information she's putting out, the 300,000, that is on the extreme side of it, the very much high side of it. That is not all, that's not across the board. That isn't what everybody has to pay. Not all insurance. There's a lot that goes into that. Number one. Number two, her talking about insurance and someone having to take your insurance online. Absolutely. You do not be giving your insurance information to nobody. No private information like that. You shouldn't have to do that to anybody you meet online to get help for anything. When you put this in context, so she uses Nicole as an example, it's like she's trying to say that Nicole does that and that she takes people's insurance information. That's not true. That is not true. I've never heard of someone doing that. Maybe it's a thing. I don't know. If you do, leave it in the comments down below, but I have never heard of a YouTuber, which is what she says. She specifically says, as this continues, a YouTuber. You should not be giving your information to a YouTuber, you know, and I agree. But the person that she uses as an example in this video does not do that. So I don't know where she's getting her information or what she's even talking about here. But I do think it's wrong that she put that out there. Whether she put Nicole's name in there or not, there's a lot of people. She knew that a lot of people would know she was talking about Nicole. Not only Nicole's community, but a lot of people that are mutual from the recovery community, the Reddit, the everywhere, TikTok. You know, Nicole has a big standing there, so it does Jessica. There's a personal connection there because of all this drama. So she knew what she was doing, you guys. And it's so not cool. I remember watching this video and I was like, whoa, like what? And I asked Nicole, I was like, do you take people's insurance information? Like, what is she talking about, girl? And she said, no, she doesn't do anything like that. Like, she's talking about all this stuff that's so valid while excusing what she does, as if it's so much better or it's so different, when you really break it down, it just isn't, you guys. It's just not. If we have to sit here and compare, which I don't want to do, I think this is so ridiculous that she's doing this, but if we have to, it isn't any different. And she tries to belittle it or diminish it by saying that, oh, all she does is do this commercial spot. But like many people pointed out in the comment section, it is more than that. She is diminishing it. She is making it sound like it's not a big deal when it is. And if you want to talk about what you're doing, what Nicole or anyone else out here is doing being a big deal, you got to talk about the fact that you do the same thing. When it comes to the issues that Jessica's bringing up here, it is the same.
I think like, hold on, Jess, don't you work with groups recover together? You work with a treatment center, you get a check. So what is the difference? This is not the same exact thing. So no, it is not. Hey, so don't mind me. I thought I would pop in here because I realized while I'm editing this video that I didn't explain what I do very well.
As a creator as well, I have noticed things, right, when it comes to editing and things like that. She popped in here to further explain and talk in circles again. You see, it's a pattern. And if you really pay attention, it's a pattern. She didn't feel like she said enough to defend herself in the initial video that she filmed. So when she was editing it, she decided, oh, I need to add some more to really set me apart from what I'm talking about here. It is deflection at its finest. And you can, obviously Jessica is very experienced in talking herself out of things, but that's not on the internet. On the internet, people are sleuths. They're called internet sleuths for a reason. People are going to pick things apart, especially when you're the one that's bringing it to the forefront. People are going to pick it apart. It just is what it is. It's the freaking internet. And I noticed this as a content creator. I noticed this little edit and her popping in to say even more. Y'all, oh, the gaslighting. It's ridiculous.
On TV or the radio. Grew up in a classic rock radio station. We call commercials spots. So groups pays me for spots or commercials. And I also wanted to include like an example of this because there's so many different ways to body broker. And some of them can be like really hard to catch. Some of them are really obviously shady and just not okay. So someone sent me a screenshot of someone's YouTube channel, and this is their description box.
Boom, guys, there it is. Nicole's old YouTube description. She, of course, you can see she took a lot out, but Jessica knew this was Nicole's description. She knew. She edged all this other stuff out to, you know, for privacy purposes, I'm sure, which good for her. Good on her for that. But she knew. And that's the thing here. Also, I have to say her description on what she does, I did not like the way she described it as if we're all ignorant and we can't think or see for ourselves. Like she talked like we were children, like she's breaking something down. Oh, you know, like a radio, like a commercial. We know what a commercial is, girl. We know what a commercial is. It was very passive aggressive of her. In my opinion, again, and I didn't like it. Did you hear her say, let me show you a few? I want to show you several examples of this. That way you don't get got, right? But then boom, all we see is Nicole's old YouTube description. Several examples. Girl, that's one. That's one. You want to show several examples. Why don't you actually do the research and do that? Oh, because this was personal, right? Like, it's so obvious. She's not going to admit that. Of course not. That's not a good look, that she's being petty and doing all of this to just personally dig at Nicole when Nicole's already down.
Immediately, I'm like, wait, what? Because one, that definitely goes against YouTube community guidelines. So I don't know how it's even allowed. Maybe YouTube hasn't caught it yet. I have no idea. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Y'all catch the shadiness there? This was after Nicole had already lost her original channel too. And she made this video like a week after that. So for her to be like, may the odds be forever in your favor, and laugh about it, knowing it's just so condescending, it's so passive aggressive, and it's so mean girl behavior. This is what was like the cherry on top for me, because again, I had no plans on ever talking about this girl again. Wish her well, hope she gets it together, hope she figures it all out, and I was moving on with it. But to do this to someone when they're already down and you're putting out misinformation and just being nasty, I believe in karma. Okay, I do. I believe in karma, and what you put out, you're going to get back. So the passive aggressiveness, the shadiness, the fake nods, all the stuff, it's going to come back in tenfold, and I believe that. And when she wants to know why, I'm just going to direct her back to this kind of stuff. What Jessica's doing, this is all intentional, and there's no denying it, in my personal opinion.
I believe that there should be access to Suboxone for anyone that needs it, for as long as you need it, you know, like heart medicine. Do I think that someone that makes YouTube videos should be getting kickbacks for Suboxone? Like, that doesn't even seem legal to me. But, you know, I just wanted to make you guys aware of all of the different ways that not just big companies, rehabs, and whatever insurance is making money off of it, but it's like the little guys too. And there is nothing wrong with getting a paycheck. I will never hate on you for your hustle. But when it comes to addiction, it's sensitive. Right? These are people's lives. And to send people to a doctor that you've never been to, a facility that you've never been to in California, like let's say this person lives in like Utah or Texas or something, never been to California, and they're like, yeah, just go here, and then they get a check, right? So like, you've never been there. You don't know what the facility looks like, you know?
All right, y'all. That's enough of that foolery, because again, misinformation, everything she's saying, please take with a grain of salt. And you know, while we're on the topic, let's just let's go on down here and look at Jessica's description real quick. I'm sure most of you have probably already seen, but we're just going to do that real fast so that we can check it out. So as you can see here, she said, I struggled with addiction for almost 10 years. I've been in and out of jail, prison for years. I now have my bachelor's degree in criminal program support services. You go, girl. That's something to be proud of. I hope to use my experience in the system and my degree to help others better understand addiction in our prison system. This story is based on my own personal opinion and experiences. Then right below that, she has at the very beginning her sponsor with the cannabis. She said, cannabis has helped me more than words can say when it comes to my insomnia and PTSD. The code for the gummies is for a free pack, no purchase necessary. Free 15 milligram Delta 9 THC gummies. 5 counts. Love y'all. Use code JK Gummy for a free full size of D9 THC. Use code JK20 for 20% off the Mood website, which is another, it's another cannabis thing. And then discover Mood. Right here is the link. You see all her little links. To learn more about groups and how they might be able to help you, check out joingroups.com or call them at this number. And it's great to have resources. I think it's a great thing. I think there's a lot of people who could genuinely use them. So to do this whole video, it's wrong. And then to put out so much misinformation on what someone else is doing, when you're not that person, you don't know what she's doing. Mind your business. Mind your business and drink your water. That's my favorite quote, because when you put your nose in other people's business and you put false information out there, people are going to come back at you. You would think that she would have learned by now, since since, okay, we got the Mindy, the Reece drama, the Jason, all the drama where people have came out with proof and receipts to show that Jessica is not being completely honest about her situation and the stuff that she has put out there. She's put out one narrative and it doesn't add up when you look at the receipts and everything that has came out, and that's facts. That's not even an opinion. That is a fact, y'all. And if you've seen it all unfold, you know I ain't lying there. It doesn't add up, and she doesn't explain. So what are people supposed to think? So she could have told her story without putting anyone else involved. She could have talked about body brokering without doing all of this. She could have talked about the issues in recovery treatment. Like, there's so much good that Jessica has done and can continue to do. The problem is she does this kind of stuff. Nicole did post in defense of herself because it's a lot of misinformation. And like she says in this video, it is defaming, not only against her personally, but against the company she works for as well.
I have been working with Recovery Delivered since 2020, and I just talked about them all the time because I believe in their services, and I actually use their services to get Suboxone for myself. That's where I see my doctor at. In 2020 is when they started out because of the pandemic, and I found them and they were one of the cheapest options. And so I just started sharing about them on my social media, just organically. Well, in October of 2022, I asked them if they would let me work for them on their marketing team because I work in social media account management and I work in marketing. And they said, sure. And so they gave me a link with a discount code and everything so people could get their Suboxone treatment for 50% off. So they could get an appointment with a doctor for $45. And I've been working with them ever since. I don't make commissions. I don't get paid per person that clicks my link. I get paid once a month, a salary wage, and that's for being on their marketing team. So let me tell you what happened last night. A girl saw my video last night where I was talking about buying diverted Suboxone off the street. And she reached out to me and she got an appointment today. And guess what? She has kids. She just messaged me and said, you saved me and my baby's life. No, I didn't save your life, girl. You did it. You took the step to get it. Okay. I just told you about it. But there's a lot of people out there that are buying diverted Suboxone off the streets. There's a lot of people who don't have access to it and they need access to this life-saving medication. And so when you put out misinformation like Nicole's a body broker because I have a link to a telemed service in my bio, that's the defamation. It's a lie. And it's also defaming Recovery Delivered because Recovery Delivered is you literally have to see a provider. You're not just going and clicking on a link and having Suboxone mailed to you. You have to see a doctor. You have to have an assessment. You have to take a UA. Like there's proper chain of command that you have to go through to acquire this prescription medication. You don't just get a link and say, send me the subs in the mail, please. And so I know that people are upset because they have made mistakes. They put themselves out there online. They've put their friends out there online. And now they're getting backlash from that. And it's just like a little dig at Nicole. But listen, the truth will always prevail. And as long as I continue doing the next right thing and helping people out of the goodness of my heart, like I always have, I will always come out on top. Remember that.
Nicole is one of the realest, in my personal opinion. And I know people feel the way they do. People feel like she overshares, not always agree with everything she says. I get it. I don't always agree with everything she puts out there. But you know what? Everything she says, whether I agree with it or not, I know it's coming from a genuine place and that she's being genuine and authentic and real. And that goes so far, especially in recovery. It just does. Okay, so this was brought to my attention, and this is what we're actually going to be leaving off on. I went back and forth on even sharing this, if I'm being honest with you guys. Let's do this angle first. So the picture, the smaller photo here, this is Jessica, and the man here is Jason. And the photo that he has right here, let me do the zoomed in one. It's of his leg. His pants are pulled down. This is his leg, you guys, just so that you're aware. This is his leg. And these are prison tattoos because for those of you who don't know, Jason hasn't, I think he's been out of prison for about a year now. But while he was in prison, he got this tattoo of Jessica hitting a meth bowl on his leg, which is just, it's like, okay. The one right above Jessica's head, it's kind of hard to see, but it's someone peeking out of the blinds, like, you know, like tweakers do. It's a very infamous thing that tweakers do. But the tattoo of Jessica hitting the meth bowl or pipe, whatever you call it, what you want to call it. And then Jessica imitating this, right? And she's even, see how she's holding her hands? Any of you that know, you know, you got to like spin it and twirl it and all those good things. But this photo was taken a couple of months back. It was just released recently, and it has caused an uproar. It has. It's caused an uproar. And again, for good reason, because we're talking about an advocate here who is always speaking, you know, against using and advocating for recovery and trying to help people in recovery. Yet she's taking photos of this in her personal time, which is okay. You want to say it's funny? Oh, like here's the real Jessica hitting a fake bowl, and here's the tattoo Jessica. This isn't good, you guys. It's glamorizing drug use. It's making a joke out of it, and when I seen this, I was speechless. It's just this funny little joke, this funny little photo, right? But no, this isn't funny. Glamorizing drug use after everything she's been through. And it also, as an advocate for the recovery community, I don't know if this is just how Jessica is in her personal life and we see a different side of her, or is this how she is with Jason? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But there has definitely been some changes. And when this photo came out, you can see she thinks it's funny. And, you know, to each their own. It's a funny little joke. Ha ha, he he, whatever. But I don't really think it's funny. I don't think it's funny at all. It's making fun. And sure, you got to lighten the mood, humor this, you know, put humor into it, all of these things. But this is a bit much. This is a bit far. I don't know where the photo originates from. I think Luke may go into a bit more detail about that on his channel, but it wasn't that long ago. That I do know. And it's been since all this drama with Jason using in her home, around her family, all the things that everyone was so concerned about. And these are the mannerisms and the behaviors. Then you put it all together, it's a concerning picture, y'all. And I'm not trying to create any type of like conspiracy around this photo, but genuinely, when you put it all together, it is concerning. And I'm just concerned for her. I don't think that this Jason guy is a good influence, if I'm being honest. And that's just me being honest. I hope she can get it together. I really do. As far as I know, I went to look to see if she spoke on it. She hasn't spoken on it. She hasn't anything. I don't think she thought it would ever see the light of day, that the public would ever see it, because this wasn't a public photo. Reddit didn't have it. Nobody had it. And it just came out. So I don't think she ever thought that it was going to be put out there like that. I think it's crazy that he got Jessica tattooed, but this correlates because, as some of you may know, if you've been following this, you remember the emails that came out where Jessica was emotionally cheating on Reece for quite some time with Jason while Jason was in prison. So it makes sense, you know, that he would get this tattoo of her. Why does it got to be this? Because Jason has a long history of drug use. This has been his life, you know. I know Jessica says he's trying to do things differently, but these tattoos are going to be on his body forever. And obviously they still think it's funny. You know what I'm saying? They're still sitting here thinking it's hilarious. I've seen on the Reddit where she was acknowledging the haters, trying to say that she buys subscribers and all this and that. I just thought it was comical that she was taking the time to acknowledge that, right? The fact that people are saying she's buying subscribers, but she can't take the time to acknowledge the serious stuff that people are actually legitimately concerned for her, her children, her, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't acknowledge that, but you can acknowledge people saying that you're buying subscribers. That tells me where her mind's at. And that's concerning that her mind is more on what people think of her on this public platform than her personal life and what's going on in her personal life.